Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Stephanie Yates, Anya Buile, Steph Anya for short, and I'm a licensed associate marriage and family therapist. Today's video is for those who are using therapy insight to create their best life. I'll be going through what to look for when you're looking for the perfect therapist for you, and hopefully you can walk away from this feeling a little bit more confident about what you want to start searching for and where to search when you're looking for a therapist. If you're curious, stay tuned. What's on your mind? Okay, so this video is inspired by recently, since I've been on a more public platform talking about therapy, I've had so many close friends and family members tell me that they are looking for a therapist, and I was surprised to find out how many of them didn't really know what to look for, and they were just super overwhelmed by the number of clinicians that they were Googling. And so I wanted to kind of narrow down some of the most important factors to think about when you're looking for a therapist, what would be the best type of therapist for certain issues, as well as how to get even more specific in your search. Okay, you can find therapists on Psychology Today. I'll also always have my Find a Therapist link in my description box specifically for marriage and family therapists. Once you get that search going, these are going to be some of the things you want to look for. So the first thing I'd say is the most important is to think about what problem you're seeking help for. Okay, because different types of therapists and counselors have different modalities, and though most therapists can handle any of these issues, I do think it's important to factor in our training, and I know there were certain things I was not trained in that my colleagues were, and vice versa. Okay, so if you are looking to speak specifically about like career counseling, right? If you are not liking your job and you don't know what you want to do, then you might want to seek out like an LPC. I know that that is specifically something that is on their exam. That was not a part of my education. Certainly I've worked with clients who have hated their jobs and tried to work with them to figure out what it is that they want to do, but that was not a part of my training. So I would say if that's the main issue you're dealing with, you might want to go to an LPC. Then when we talk about my training, if you have specific issues with relationships, I view every problem through the lens of relationships and our systems, whether that be relationships with family members, past traumas, if we're talking about issues with your spouse or partner or close friend. Marriage and family therapists are specifically trained to look at issues in a relational context. We're trying to understand the patterns of the system and see what changes can be made in that pattern to bring out a different outcome. Another example is that like social workers are trained in finding resources. Social workers work in a ton of different capacities. They are the type of mental health professionals who are not just about that insight, but also typically have a lot to do with action. I've had colleagues who have talked about people who didn't have food stamps, for example, going through the process of how to get food stamps, going through the process of helping people get Medicaid. So social workers typically work within impoverished populations to utilize their own leverage and power to help those who don't have access to the resources that they do. That's not to say that there aren't clinical social workers who work as therapists, but that is one of the niches of social work that really doesn't exist in a lot of the other mental health professions. Now, if you are presenting with psychotic features, like you have hallucinations or you have delusions, specifically you're looking to be medicated for something, you might want to book an appointment with a psychiatrist or nurse practitioner. If you're looking to be tested, let's say for something like ADHD, for example, you get your child tested, then a psychologist might be the best place for you to go. Okay, so there are different facets or niches within each mental health branch where if you know the problem that you're looking to have addressed, most of these professions can do all of the above, but it is nice to know where their training was focused when you're looking for the right professional. Then we go down to the specialty certification, okay? So now you've found what is their actual license. Now let's talk about their specialty, okay? So we have people who specialize in sex therapy, art therapy, where maybe they'll utilize creative arts to help bring about change or new insight. We have certified grief counselors. So if you know that, sure, I'm having family issues, but it's tied to a recent family death or death from the past, then maybe you want to find someone who is a certified grief counselor, or an addiction counselor, or an eating disorders. And there are a ton of certifications and specializations that you can look for. Once you figure out what is the license you're looking for, then you can maybe go down to the specialty you're looking for within that license. Then we want to do the filterable demographics. So maybe gender is important to you. Maybe you know that you need to work with a woman because of the things you need to talk about and work through. Maybe race is important to you. If you are specifically struggling or stressed out with race relations, it might feel comforting to work with someone of the same race. Or I've actually seen it the other way, where someone's working through race relations and they need to build a relationship with someone of a different race. So those preferences are important, because ultimately we're trying to create as few barriers as possible for you to do the work that you need to do. Also, sexual orientation. There are so many different demographics that you can actually see on a checkbox, and many different search sites that will allow you to get that specific in your search. And then once you identify that, you want to think about the payer options, right? Because I know the idea of paying for therapy is something that keeps a lot of people from seeking therapy because they're afraid they won't be able to afford it. But there are a ton of different payer options. So first, if you have health insurance, you want to see if your plan covers mental health. Many plans do. And then in that case, you want to find a therapist who meets all of your other requirements. I wouldn't say start with the payer, but they meet all of your other requirements and they're on your insurance panel. Perhaps that'll help narrow it down. If you work for a company that has employer paid therapy visits, I know like Quick Trip is one of the organizations we see often. Find that out. That might be a benefit that's already built into your package, is that you have some free visits, okay? And you might be able to use it for you or someone in your family. I've seen a child of someone who had that benefit, and you get maybe 5 to 10 sessions, and you can decide, if this is the route you want to go and continue paying, or if all of the issues that you came into therapy with were addressed in those 5 to 10 sessions. Medicaid, if you have Medicaid, often it does include mental health care. A lot of times those sessions are actually free to you. So don't think that just because you don't have the top health insurance that you can't afford therapy, because even after all of that, in addition to other payer options like grants, for example, there are plenty of therapists who accept self-pay. And if you are worried about what self-pay would look like, you could specifically look for therapists who have outlined that they work according to a sliding scale. And what that means is that they will get a pay stub or some sort of verification of what your income is, as well as how many dependents you have, and they will create a rate that seems reasonable for you. Because contrary to popular belief, most therapists are trying to make their services as accessible as possible while also able to support their lives. So it's not the gimmick that we see often portrayed in the media of it being something for rich people. There are a lot of programs in place now to make it as accessible as possible for people to be able to work on the problems that plague them and keep them from being as productive or as happy as they possibly could be. And then the last thing to think about is chemistry, right? So we could do all of those demographic checks, all of those credential checks, and if at the end of the day you just don't jive with the therapist, that is okay? Because like I've talked about, once we even do all that, we get even more nitty gritty. Some people might be using collaborative therapy, narrative therapy, solution focused therapy, and maybe their style of therapy or the way that they talk with you just doesn't work for you. That's okay. A lot of therapists will actually offer free consultations where you can talk with them and get a feel for them maybe in a couple of minutes. Or if that's not an option and you really think this could be the therapist for you, you can set up an initial session with them, plan with yourself, and let them know that this is just a session to see if you guys have chemistry, if they could meet your needs personality wise. Most therapists see a lot of clients and have seen even more clients throughout the trajectory of their career. Their feelings are not going to be hurt if you don't think that this is a good fit, because our goal is for you to find the perfect match for you. So if you leave that first session and you feel like, well, you know, they're nice, but I don't really see myself being able to open up to them, that's okay too. And it's okay to do multiple sessions. It's not always going to be obvious in that first session. I would say if you see any glimmer of hope that you would be able to connect with them, because it's going to be awkward. That first meeting is going to be awkward because this might be the first time you're expressing some of these things, especially to a complete stranger. But the things that you can't pick up on are like, you know, are they the type of therapist that will lead it with questions? Are they the type of therapist that will be silent the whole time? Are they the type of therapist that might share about their own lives? Those kind of things can let you know very early on whether or not, you know, this could be a fit for you. So I hope that this helps you narrow down your search as you're looking for a therapist. I'll put a couple of links of where you could start that search, and I wish you all the best of luck. I think having therapy is one of the best tools for creating the life that we want and becoming the person that we want to be. So if you have any other ideas about videos that I can create that will help with that goal, please let me know. Put them in the comments below. I appreciate you for watching this video. I ask that you like it, subscribe to my channel, and click the bell notification so that you know every time I upload a video, and share this video with a friend that you think could find it useful so that they can find the channel and let me know the videos that would be helpful for them. Thank you so much for watching until the end. That really, really helps me. I appreciate you.